As a kid, I was always excited to go around the shops, to get some sweets, or what I used to call them, yay-yays, and to see the local shop owners Dee and Bugsy. For parade, the shops were only 2 minutes away, and the estate was normally quiet until you start to approach its heart. As you get closer, you hear laughter, shouting and excitement, and echoes of ricocheting coins, one after another, followed by moans and optimism. Having arrived at the shops, I always saw a gathering of young men playing a game on a certain wall I remember, just next to a passage leading on to my Nanny Dee's and Grandad Al's. I was a young kid, staring and observing coins bouncing and rolling everywhere. They would all stand behind a line and bed into the floor below, next to the community centre, throwing a coin one at a time, aiming to get closest to the wall, to claim all what was thrown. I never joined in with these men, as I was always known as Emma's son with the little Harry Potter glasses. I always wanted to join in, however, and play this game called Penny Up the Wall. Have you ever tossed a coin at a wall before?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Oh, yes.
Yes, of course we have.
No.
At a wall, yes, yeah.
No. My parents were strict. I grew up in Africa. When they do them things, them kids, my parents used to look at them and frown at them. They're like, it's like gambling. So my parents would kill me if they catch me doing that.
Was it a game that you used to play or see?
Game I used to play?
Both.
As a kid at school, yeah, I did. When I was very young, I used to play it. Where we used to live, there was always quite a few young lads that were playing it regularly up against the wall.
Only when we was at school. Played it in school, but at the bus stop as well. It's where I won more money.
No, it's a game we used to play at school, I remember originally. But it used to be with 2p's. If you were lucky, 10p.
No.
No, I never played that. It was all physical stuff. Knock down ginger. And I was ginger. No one ever attempted to knock me down, though, because I was too tough.
Where did you play it? Where did you see it played?
Woolwich Common and Francis Street. Used to play it around the estate, anywhere basically where there was a wall.
The coin tossing on the estate where I lived, almost every day. I used to see it played around the shops where I lived on an estate.
Just generally on the streets.
It's there where the community centre was, that big wall with the tunnel is there, because that's the big straight wall, isn't it? So that's where they used to play it most of the time.
So who normally played it? Who did you play with?
Just the mates, 3-4 people.
Wait, this is my side, man.
It's me and my friends, basically, adults as well.
I used to play with my mates up the wall, so we would do with a diverse group of age groups, anything from like 16 to like 24. We always sort of hang about in Woolwich.
All the young lads that lived on the estate. Mixture, but still by the guys that were the children that are now the adults.
Most of the time it was kids that are playing there, but then sometimes you see the adults who hang around there, they join in as well. You understand? And so it'd be a mixed group, to tell you the truth. But they're all good, they're all cool-headed. You never see them like, if a kid won, the kid won, took it. The adults never took advantage of them.
I've seen people tossing coins at walls, actually, and I've seen a bit in recent years, but I always wondered exactly what they were doing.
Occasionally adults would come along and muck in with the lads, because obviously it's a reminder of what we used to do when we was young.
Well done, Dee.
Could you associate the players with a social class?
I think, in all honesty, looking at the lads, that it was a multi-class.
Well, I'd say we was all the same class on the estate, just working class.
No, not really. Anyone that, if they wanted to join, they joined. It didn't matter who they were. If they wanted to join, they'd be like, yeah, come on in. As long as you've got the pennies to play, you can play.
Not necessarily. It was a betting class of people. It was a male-dominated sport.
Pacific class, yeah, of course, Pacific working class. Who else? Basically, there is no middle class now. There's only working class, and then there's upper class. The middle class has become the working class.
You can never guess by people's dress, can you? And but not, affluent professional people.
Why do you think the game was played?
I think it was a group thing that kids got together, young teenagers got together, and I think it was just an activity, and obviously another way just to earn a little bit of cash.
No, I've got something here.
Just gambling. It's just a game that developed. It was a social thing. They all gathered, and that was something they all done. Because there was nothing else to do, not on the estate where I was.
I used to play it because it was an easy source of income when you're a child. You know, a lot of the times I did win because I was pretty good at it, and yeah, I made a bit of money out of it. I think the adults were just there and they just wanted to be involved because, like what it is, adult men, they never particularly really grow up, do they?
I think it was just fun for everyone, wasn't it? Like, and they could get some money to go in the shop and buy sweets.
Very competitive sport to them. Certain techniques, people would cheat. They would glue thin bits of metal or other coins to their coins to give them weight. And then if you didn't win or the game wasn't finished, you'd have to go back the next day. Quite hardcore, really.
I think it was probably just for a bit of fun, really. We didn't have computers then. So things like that it's a dying breed now. I think the innocence is lost because of technology.
I suppose it's a pastime. I suppose there is, an exhilaration to playing games. I like playing games. It's about sociability, companionship. And I suppose if it is linked to gambling, then there's a possibility of winning some money.
Well, because it's exciting and it's gambling and it's nice. You ain't thinking about, I paid this or I ain't done that, I've got to do this, and it's lovely. So I suppose it's that.
Usually, most of the time it's played during the summer. You've got long days, most of the kids are on breaks, summer breaks anyway, on holiday, so there's nothing better to do, most of them here, unfortunately. It's sad, There's not really a football pitch around here for them. There's be a caged off one. But obviously that, I think that got vandalised. Just get people drug dealing from there, so that wasn't a good thing. But if the kids had more stuff around here to do, maybe the kids wouldn't do that.
What do you think of the development in our cities?
Oh, dear me. It's developing out of price range for people like me, and the places where I could afford to be are not being looked after. So we've got two ends. One's going to wreck and ruin, and then you've got all new build, which is out of my range.
What do I think? Don't think anything. It's life.
It's like all developments. They're good at the particular time, but there wasn't a great deal of space. They didn't leave enough space.
It's actually getting alright because they're non-stop building, but I do find as well, for the middle class people and the people who's not really on a big income, they seem to be getting pushed aside because basically the rich get rich and the poorer get poorer.
It's all houses, it's all flats and houses. There's nothing in between. No things for kids, no playground areas. They just want to build and build and build flats.
They're doing all this regeneration, but there's no the kid aspect. You're creating all this, you forget you bring in families here. The kids need place to play, they need things to do. So we want to have a Greenwich that used to be what it used to be. It's a royal borough, for God's sake. You have to have place for kids to play. We have to take out crime.
I like the way they're trying to bring community spirit back to some projects where people live. But then again, I think it's quite segregated housing at the moment, the development of housing.
Well, it's getting a lot more gentrified. The house prices especially, you can see how it's getting gentrified. You can see the types of shops that are coming now. It's not for the common working man, so you can see the changing face of London.
I think it's inevitable. Cities always change. It's said that the old has to make way for the new, but that's evolution for any city, I think, to evolve, to make a statement, to make a new identity. I think people suffer at the end of it, at the cost of it. And I hope it's for the better, really.
Well, I think there are pluses and minuses. So, London is a growing city. It's exciting, vibrant, it's inclusive. People see each other for who they are. At the same time, it's important, though, in that people don't feel left behind. And the real challenge we faced in London is because of our success, a lot of people just cannot afford to live in London. And we actually, I think, have to reset the dial and think, well, in future, development has to be principally around the needs of Londoners. So to remain competitive and inclusive, London actually does have to change the way it develops and ensure that new regeneration is locally influenced and locally led rather than developer-led.
I don't like it. It's too commercial. There's no interaction. People are afraid of each other for no reason really, other than they look different. I'm still the kind of person I get in a bus queue and I talk to the people. I don't care where they've come from, I like to know about them. And you find all people are nice. If you talk to them, they're all nice. If you look for the best, you'll find the best. And I look for the best. I'm told I see the world through rose-coloured glasses, but I like the glasses and I'll leave them on because it suits me.
Have you heard of the process of gentrification?
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, I couldn't actually put it into words, but I know what you mean by gentrification.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's poshing up, really.
Yeah, you can see it all around you. I can see it here. I can see it everywhere. And you can see the house and the prices these flats and these developments are starting at. They're not cheap. You understand what I'm saying, George? You can see it. Who can afford a 2-bedroom flat that's like 400,000? Common man can't work that. Not on a basic wage he's earning. No way.
What do you think of gentrification, and is it benefiting everyone?
No. Unfortunately, not everyone can develop at the same rate or the same time. I think you try, or we try, but I think it's like all things in all areas. You only develop, or people only develop, is whether you can afford to develop more.
It's not good. It's not good. They should look after what we've got, not just make new, because they are taking area away from people that would have normally been in the area and been affording the area. They're left with what councils are just not keeping up nicely.
It's life though, isn't it? Moving with the times. Everything's dearer these days compared to what it was. 'Cause there's some people that are benefiting from it and some that ain't, and the ones that ain't probably don't like it.
No, without a doubt. Not everyone. You should look after the people that's paid their rent, been a good tenant. There's people out there working 2 jobs and can't even get a nice property. London at the moment is extremely expensive. That's why a lot of people do move out to the countries and things like that where it's cheaper. I find that everyone should be able to have the opportunity to get a better place. You know that.
I think it's sad. Working class can't afford the properties that are built in their area. We have to actually go further afield for affordability. What's sad when you can't even stay within your own area of where you grew up. You wouldn't be able to afford it.
But I suppose it's in one way still a building site. See, I think with the Royal Arts, it's a complicated what they've done there. It's trying to find an identity in a mixed bowl, how I see it.
Not really, because most of the time it's for professionals, working professionals. You know, a lot of people that had lived there for years and had the right to buy it, you know, they're the sensible ones, so at least no one can move them off. That's what you're going to get here. You're going to end up getting all professionals in South East London.
Gentrification takes all sorts of forms. There are good things about it and there are bad things about it. But what I really want is an inclusive, mixed communities where everyone feels part of the community and everyone can afford to live there, and the community really pulling together as one. And that is really important to retain that. And sometimes you get that right, sometimes the balance can go the other way.
But with the regeneration going on now, most of the people can't afford it, so many people are moving out. So it's just like the locals have been forced to move out, we've been pushed out. Most especially for the black and immigrant population, most especially the Africans have been pushed out. That's how they feel. If I feel like that, how would the English person that was born here, that is proper home to them, how would they feel? If they can't even get a job and they've been pushed out. If I feel bad being an immigrant population, how would a person that is an English person born here?
Worse.
It feel more worse. There's no job for them. There's no economic empowerment in the area. Woolwich is 2 world now. I think your documentary, instead of flip coins, you say 2 world in Woolwich. Because it's just like, yeah, it's the flick of coins, 2 sides to coins anyway, the poor side and the rich side.
No, it's only benefiting the people that are putting these buildings up and letting them at high rents. I don't know. The system isn't working. It's not working at all. Why have you got half the people on really low wages and having to claim rent money from the state when you had perfectly adequate council provided housing at a reasonable rent and people could get a job and work for it? We're human beings. We've got to try and look after each other. There's strength in numbers. And I'm here down on earth and I want to deal with civil rights, equality, the things we can change.
Would you say the development of our cities, or even gentrification, has benefited you?
It gave me somewhere to go socially because the area had changed, but not to live, just to socialise, which you need to live before you socialise.
Not particularly, because I've got my property for 12 years now. It's the same building, you know, nothing's been upgraded on it. They've not done nothing to the block. You've got an old central heating system which don't hardly work. The door security as well don't really work all the time, so you can have any little bit of riffraff in there, which is not nice really. It needs to be more secure so the families within the building will feel more secure.
I've not really looked at it to that extent because I was fortunate enough to get, do you mean what I needed for my specifications at the time for having my family?
Is it benefiting me? Yeah, I suppose it is benefiting me because you're getting new places where you wouldn't otherwise go and visit, you know, Royal Arsenal, for example. It's a nice area to walk around. You've got a couple of nice bars there. You can get somewhere nice to eat, decent to eat. Maybe the price is not so decent, but it's nice. You know, you can go to the Royal Arsenal and get away from Woolwich, although you're still in Woolwich. It has got a nice feel, although it's got a cold feel because at the moment it hasn't got that sense of community. In a way, I suppose it's still early days yet.
I personally am of an age where I did all right because although we were poorly paid, living standards went up year on year after the war. It gradually went up. But we are still doing well from what we fought for, my generation. Now, people got no pensions, they've got no sick pay, they've got no holidays. It looks as though, given the government we've got, that soon we'll be paying for healthcare too. Things that you used to be able to get, they're not providing anymore. So I've done all right, but that's not the point. It's the next generation I'm thinking about, and they're not doing all right. They're suffering for it.
As a homeowner, then it has benefited me because house prices have gone up. So we do have the beginnings of what I saw as intergenerational inequality. Continuing spiral of differentiation between those that are asset rich and those that are asset poor. And I do fear, you know, you look at Woolwich, for example, that we've got a Woolwich in two halves. We've got a Woolwich on the Royal Arsenal and we've got a Woolwich behind Tesco's, if you like, which is very different. The danger is, though, people are being forced out of the area because they can't afford to live there anymore, to not have a real sense of belonging or identity with the local community. And that, in the end, I think is weak because I think a council is as strong as the community is, and if people feel pride and belonging to that community, that makes the council stronger and gives it greater legitimacy. So there may be some short-term financial benefits, but I think in the long term, the council is poorer.
Oh yeah, you understand, it's not like it used to be. I remember when we first came in, 91, end of 91, 92, this was a no-go area, you understand? You used to get no takeaways coming up here, delivery, you used to get no parcel deliveries up there because you used to get robbed all the time. But it's changed a lot, and CCTV has improved it a lot as well. So people think twice now, So that's the thing. Big Brother's always watching.
In changing the wall where the game is played, would it disturb the memories and experiences it beholds?
Yeah, but they would find another wall.
When we do go past the wall, you go to certain bits of when you was growing up from your childhood. Do believe it has got some fond memories and little things like with a wall. It does bring back the penny up days.
I don't think the wall has. I think it's the whole estate.
Most probably because that's the only place I've ever seen it played.
It will have associated memories to it. And once it is taken down, I suppose you would miss it because then you're associating a story with that place that's been taken away.
Yeah, for the right and wrong reasons. Got run over trying to play the game. Flew about 15 foot in the air. Fractured my leg, fractured my ankle and 8 stitches in my eye. Felt like Superman.
Well, I'm a great one for actually maintaining our heritage and trying to celebrate our heritage. And I've always said that we should avoid demolishing and look to how we can build and enhance our heritage. So, if this game is very much part of our heritage, then I think that's important to retain that.
Yeah, I do. For all the people, you go back and you want to see a semblance of what was before, and it makes you still feel part of it. even though everything else around it's been built different and sorted and tweaked. And I'd like to see something remaining of what was, because it ties the new people into the old people. It's a reminder of what things were like.
Yes, it would do. You tend to remember the wall, as strange it might be. So yes, if it did change, it wouldn't be the same.